Hi, Sarah here. Welcome back. Quick on-the-fly video today about timing in tarot and how it might still be useful in a skeptical or secular way. So many readers who claim to be skeptical or secular, such as myself, sometimes might have trouble finding any use or application for timing in tarot. So to clarify or explain what I mean by timing in tarot, I basically mean asking when questions, especially about the future. So like, when might I get a new job? When am I going to land a successful date? When am I going to find happiness and peace? Things like that. And this kind of future-oriented question, these when questions, any speculations about the future, or even any questions that are asking for definite answers about the future, I know a lot of skeptical or secular readers, such as myself, tend to avoid these. And it totally makes sense because if we claim that we're not psychic, we can't really tell the future, then of course asking when questions, asking about timing, of course doesn't really jive with the way that we read and the way that we see the world. And another pitfall of timing readings is, of course, sometimes what if you read for when am I going to get a new boyfriend? And then the answer says in, 3 weeks, and 3 weeks pass and your boyfriend still hasn't come. Of course, then it just sets you up for disappointment. It sets the querent up for maybe disappointment. So I understand why many readers might not want to do any sort of timing in tarot questions or readings. And typically a tip for avoiding or reframing timing in tarot is, instead of asking, when am I going to get a new boyfriend? You might ask instead, what can I do to get a new boyfriend? What can I work on instead? How will I know when the boyfriend is ready for me? So there's a lot of ways to reframe the question so that you're not asking a timing specific question. And, typically that is the way that I would read as well. Personally, I've also never really felt called to do timing related readings for similar reasons such as this. And also, I am just a person who doesn't like to think too far ahead into the future. That's just my own personality. I think some people, they do like to plan and speculate about the future. I am not really someone who likes to plan or speculate that far ahead into the future. But a conversation about timing in tarot recently came up in the Sass Witches Discord server that I'm in. And I wanted to kind of flip my own script, kind of see the other side, be contrarian to my own opinion. I wanted to explore what it might look like to explore timing in tarot, timing in divination, and see if I can find a way that might work for me. So even if maybe we're worried about using timing questions in tarot, we're worried about trying to give a definite, concrete answer, maybe this timing can help give us other prompts and other reflection moments and opportunities to think about. So, all that rambling introduction aside, let's give an example of what I'm talking about. So I Googled timing and tarot associations, and this is kind of an answer that I got. Wands can correlate with days or spring. Swords can correlate with weeks or autumn. Cups can correlate with months or summer. And pentacles can correlate with years or winter. So each suit has a correlated season with it. Each suit has a correlated time duration with it. And since, of course, there's no hard and fast rules for tarot, I'm sure if you wanted to change around these associations, these time durations, you totally can. These time durations make sense to me. Wands is very fast, so days. Swords is still very active, so weeks. Cups and Pentacles are slower, so months and years. So deciding on associations like this is really helpful for deciding timing in tarot, or deciding other sorts of concrete answers, like yes, no answers. It's important to designate your own associations for each card, each suit, whatever these signs will mean. This is not like pulling numbers out of a bag and actually saying 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This is kind of abstract. So you have to decide for yourself how you're going to read these signs and interpret them into your answer and your style of reading. Okay, so we've got the associations. Let me do an example timing reading. I'll just put these cards to the side here. I'm going to shuffle the Curious Creatures Tarot a couple times. So since I don't have a specific question in mind, I'll just draw a card to give me a prompt or a question for our timing related reading. The Lovers. Okay, interesting. Very poignant since I literally just got married this past weekend. Let's see, what question can I think of related to this? When will we feel comfortable and relaxed? I got that inspiration from just seeing them enjoying a relaxing dance together. So I think this question totally makes a lot of sense because we've been very busy planning. We got our honeymoon in a couple days for a whole week. So I'm just wondering, when are we going to feel comfortable and relaxed? We as in me and my husband. All right. So before drawing cards, like I mentioned, it's important to kind of set the parameters for your reading so that you understand what to expect from your reading, how you're going to interpret the answer. So I'm deciding right now, I'm going to draw 2 cards. One is going to be the number And another one is going to be the time duration. So number, I'm going to keep drawing until I get an 8 through 10. I'm also deciding that right now. Okay, so we got 7 and wands, which is days. Okay, so the answer I got is 7 days. Again, question was, when will we feel comfortable and relaxed? The answer here is 7 days. Okay, let's move this over. So now I've got my answer. However, this is not the end of the reading. This is not the concrete final answer set in stone. As I always say, tarot and divination for me is just a way of speculating about the future and giving us prompts for reflection. I don't see the cards as a definite future. Things can always change either internally or externally. So now that I've got my timing question and answer, when am I going to feel comfortable and relaxed? 7 days. Let's extrapolate this. Let's kind of use this to give us more things to reflect on. So an example question I can think of is, how am I feeling about this answer and why? I'm feeling okay about it. I feel like it makes sense because our honeymoon, we're going to be having a lot of activities and we're going to be in a different state. So it's still going to be a little bit like go, go, go a little bit. It's not like we're going to be able to sleep in too much because we want to make sure that we are productive and having a lot of fun on our honeymoon. Another reflection question could be, what is going on in the next 7 days that will prevent me from feeling this comfortable and relaxedness? So basically, like, why is this going to happen in 7 days and maybe not earlier, maybe not later either? And like I mentioned, honeymoon is going on for 7 days duration. So again, it just makes sense to me. What might be going on? Again, I think I might be just going on like a lot of trips and adventures and new restaurants and new things to do out when I'm out there. So it just makes sense to me. Another possible reflection question here could be, what does feeling comfortable and relaxed look like in general? So basically asking and clarifying this energy, this question right here, like what exactly do I think this is going to look like? What is going to happen here? So comfortable and relaxed. I imagine this feeling is going to feel like we're finally done with like the planning and the anticipating, and we're ready to just roll back into our regular routines, our own personal hobbies, without the burden or responsibilities of planning a honeymoon or planning a whole wedding for many months. So I imagine comfortable and relaxed is we can feel comfortable in having a few slow moments without feeling like we have to be productive and tackle our like mile-long to-do list. And one more reflection question I can think of is, what can I do to make this happen or to prevent it if I don't want this happening? Or what external forces are happening that could help or hinder me here? So essentially asking, what can I do or what can the world do that is either helping this happen or making it not happen? Let's say if I want this energy to happen sooner, let's say I don't want to wait 7 days for me to feel comfortable and relaxed. So what is happening the next 7 days? Is there any way that I can change this destiny, this outcome? Can I make this comfortable and relaxed state happen earlier than these 7 days? Or on the other hand, let's say I don't want this to happen. I don't want to feel comfortable and relaxed because maybe being comfortable and relaxed is boring. So what can I do to stop this from happening in 7 days or within 7 days? So maybe on the other hand, if I don't want this happening, I can keep finding new things to do. I can keep finding excitement and just new things, new date ideas, new activities to do so that we're not stagnating and feeling, too stagnant. And the flip side of this question as well, again, what external forces are happening that could help or hinder me? So just thinking about like what's happening in the world, what's happening outside of our personal power here. So like I mentioned, we already booked our honeymoon. Honestly, kind of dealing with the aftermath of like potential family drama after the wedding that could lead to us not feeling comfortable and relaxed until 7 days in. Maybe things are going to just be happening and maybe going a little bit wrong or not that great on the honeymoon. That might also cause us to not feel comfortable and relaxed until the next 7 days. And all of these reflection questions can be answered like out loud, just like I did, but we could also just draw cards and just keep answering these reflection questions, these follow-up questions with this reading. So those are some example reflection questions that I came up with for this timing related reading. Let's do one more example. I'm not going to go through it as thoroughly as this time, but just another example just to kind of keep the science experiment going. The tarot experiments. All right, let's do another prompt question. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to spin this in kind of a negative way. So maybe this is like an omen instead of like a positive sign. So maybe the question here is, when am I going to feel extremely overburdened? And I'm going to say overburdened. When am I going to feel extremely overburdened, like I'm carrying a lot of weight? I'm going to do my same system of 2 cards, just the number and the time. I'm not really going to try the seasons and other things because I'm not as familiar with that, but I'm just going to do my same style here. So we've got 9. I want a suit, please. 9 days. Okay. Everything's happening in days now. The wands are coming out. Okay. When I'm going to feel overburdened? 9 days. So again, honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is totally that tracks because like I mentioned, honeymoon is going to last a week. I'm coming back from my honeymoon. I'm probably already going to feel like overburdened with like, oh my God, I have to unpack all my stuff. I have to start transitioning back to regular life again after having such an amazing few weeks of wedding and honeymoon. Yeah, I can just imagine there's just going to be a lot of feelings like this, like after I come back from the honeymoon, but that is life. I'm okay with that. And like now that I know the speculation is coming, you know, it's kind of like a weather forecast. Even though the weather says it might rain next week, it honestly might not rain. So, you know, maybe this is forecasted to happen, but maybe it won't actually happen. And just like a weather forecast, if we see that this thing might be coming up on the horizon, it means that A, we could try to do things to change it. I mean, not like you can change things in a weather forecast, but you know, you can, in tarot, if it's about a personal question, maybe there are things you can do to change the outcome. Or B, what can you do to prepare for this happening? Because I think it's likely going to be a thing that I'm going to feel this overburdened, lots of responsibilities. I don't think that's really avoidable. So in that case, like what can I do to not prevent it, what can I do to help myself handle it better or to prepare myself better for this to happen? So those were some examples of how to use tarot for timing. I'm sure there are tons of other ways that you could read for timing that are not in just a straightforward way, a straightforward like this is the end answer way. For example, we could instead read this like a spread. So when am I going to feel burdened? Maybe I'm going to feel burdened when my happiness feels like it's in conflict with other people. So reading the tarot cards as tarot cards instead of as like timing and expectation. So that could be a thing as well. And again, I'm sure you could think of other ways to make timing happen, other systems for yourself. The fun of tarot is that you get to experiment, you get to play by the rules and play outside of the rules, make up your own rules, whatever works, you know, as long as it feels good to you, as long as it gets you results, I feel like that's what matters most. One more example of another way that you could do a timing reading. So let's say I want to ask how many days until this person reaches out to me. Let's say Queen of Pentacles, that's not a number, so I'm going to skip. 9 of Swords, let's say 9 days until that person reaches out to me. You know, like you could just do kind of a random little thing like that. So lots of ways, lots of fun ways that you could try tarot for timing. And again, even if you're skeptical or secular like I am, I hope that you are still able to find ways to play around with your cards, play around with the concept of doing readings in ways that work for you. So now that I've figured this out, I'm definitely going to try doing more timing-based readings, timing-related readings in my general practice, just for the fun of it. So that is all for today. Hope this timing related video, timing related tarot exercise helped give you some ideas, give you some inspiration. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye. Man, look at these nails.